This course is meant for non-technical people who want to learn how to stay safer from bad hackers and scammers at work and life outside of work. I'm a former English as a second language teacher who later got a degree in cybersecurity, and I hold some certifications related to cybersecurity as well, such as CASP+, Pen Test+, CISA+, and Security+. This course is meant to be a general overview rather than focusing on a specific industry, but hopefully you'll be able to get value from the course content and apply it to your day-to-day work. If you have questions, please feel free to ask in the comments section of this course. The goal is to help you, and if you have questions that aren't already answered in the course, your question could help inform future course updates. You're awesome for wanting to take this course, and hopefully we'll be able to help keep the world safer from bad hackers and scammers together. Let's get started. In this section, I'll introduce you to some things to keep in mind when interacting with artificial intelligence chatbots. Artificial intelligence chatbots with large language models are like very smart robots that have read a lot of books. They learn how to talk and answer questions by noticing how words are used in all the things they've read. When you talk to these chatbots, they remember what they've learned from reading to come up with good answers, just like a friend who's good at remembering stories and facts. Artificial intelligence chatbots using large language models work a bit like a word guessing game. They use statistics to make these guesses. When the chatbot gets a message, it looks at the words and, based on what it has learned from reading lots of text, it calculates which words are most likely to come next. It's like if you've seen the phrase peanut butter and many times, you'd guess the next word is probably jelly. The chatbot uses lots of math to make its best guess about what to say in response to what you've typed. What you typed may or may not be stored in some database and used to train the bot. If a hacker got into that system and you put confidential information into the chatbot, that could be bad. Bigger artificial intelligence chatbot companies, as far as I know, take a lot of care to make the system secure. And I think that artificial intelligence chatbots can bring a lot of value to a lot of people. So I encourage you to try using an artificial intelligence chatbot from one of the more popular artificial intelligence chatbot companies, and please keep the following safety tips in mind. As far as I know, this isn't a widespread issue, but keep in mind that artificial intelligence may be trained on data that's false. I think it's important to use artificial intelligence as a tool for efficiency, but also be skeptical of what artificial intelligence can put out. For context, when artificial intelligence is trained, it may go through some websites or some other material like a book, and some website may have information that's totally incorrect. It's also possible for an attack on an artificial intelligence system called data poisoning, which is when false information is purposefully fed to artificial intelligence. A couple of hypothetical ways that a bad actor could attempt data poisoning is to get a bunch of people to tell an artificial intelligence chatbot that some false information is true, or publish a lot of websites with that false information. I remember one time when an artificial intelligence chatbot that I was using showed Wikipedia as a source of information. Wikipedia is a website that can be edited by some people in the public, and if someone puts something false on Wikipedia and the artificial intelligence chatbot used that as a source of information, the response the chatbot gives may reflect that false information. If you are in a position in your organization to at least request this, if your organization is using artificial intelligence chatbots, it may be good to request that the organization have an artificial intelligence chatbot that's trained on internally approved data that the organization you work for knows is good and true. It's possible to have artificial intelligence chatbots that are trained on data in a more closed system. That may not be necessary and is an idea, but I feel it would have been negligent not to mention this possibility. So, please be mindful that artificial intelligence chatbots could have poisoned data. Double-check information that comes out of the chatbot you are using if you're trying to use it in your organization. We're going to talk about something really important. which is the safety of your personal and confidential information when using artificial intelligence systems. Whether you're a tech newbie or just curious, this video is for you. Let's get started. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is becoming a big part of our lives. From chatbots to virtual assistants, these smart programs can be super helpful. However, did you know they can also be a bit like sponges soaking up the information you share? When you interact with an AI, like asking it a question or feeding it data, it might store some of that info. This is often to improve its responses or remember your preferences. Think of it as teaching a parrot new words. Now, imagine if you told this parrot something super secret, like your company's confidential project or your personal ID numbers. If a hacker breaks into the system, they could steal these secrets. Scary, right? Here's what you can do. Treat artificial intelligence like a stranger in a public place. Would you tell your password or confidential work details to a random person? You probably wouldn't. So be cautious about what you share with artificial intelligence too. For sensitive info, stick to secure encrypted communication channels. These are like sealed envelopes, as opposed to shouting across a crowded room. So, next time you're about to share something with an artificial intelligence system, pause and think, is this something I'd be okay with the world knowing? Multiple companies have given employees guidance to not put confidential information into artificial intelligence chatbots. Please be careful what you put into artificial intelligence chatbots. Backing up your data is important. For example, if something in your computer goes bad, your computer is stolen, or your computer is infected with ransomware, you'll want to have backups of your computer's data so that it's not lost. I'll go over some methods of backing up your digital data, including using USB sticks, external hard drives, and cloud storage. Let's get started. In this video, we'll cover USB sticks, which are those tiny gadgets that can help save your digital life. Imagine a magical wand that holds everything from your cat photos to important work files. That's a USB stick for you. It's a small device barely bigger than a chewing gum stick that plugs into your computer and stores all your digital treasures. Why trust these tiny fellows? Well, they're like kangaroos with pockets that can store everything vital. What if your computer crashed? No worries. Your USB stick has got your back with all of those files safe and sound. Picture this. A student, let's call her Emma, stores her thesis on a USB stick. This turns out to be a smart move when her laptop decides to take an unexpected vacation. You can also picture Jared, the wedding photographer, who keeps a USB stick as his photo vault for storing wedding photo backups. Let's face it, losing wedding photos is like forgetting your anniversary. It's not a good idea. Both of these people having data on the USB stick as a backup means that the file can be used and saved if a main device someone does work on, such as a computer, is down for some reason. Now for the cool spy movie stuff. Some USB sticks come with keypads. Yes, you heard that right. You need a secret code to access the files. It's like having a mini Fort Knox in your pocket. So, even if it falls into the hands of someone else, your data can remain secret. They may be small, but they're mighty. However, even heroes need care. Keep them safe from water, heat, and the dreaded washing machine monster. Also, remember, public computers can be like eating at dirty restaurants. You don't want your USB stick catching something nasty. USB sticks are the ninjas of data storage, which can be stealthy, mobile, and efficient. However, just like how ninjas have a weakness in that ninjas can't swim in heavy armor, as far as I know at least, USB sticks have a weakness in value if the USB stick is lost or damaged. So, while they're great for keeping copies of files, don't put all of your digital eggs in one basket. USB sticks can be your pocket-sized data defender. Whether or not you get a USB stick with a keypad is up to your needs, but USB sticks can be a useful thing to have. None of these companies are affiliated, but for a USB stick, I've done good with Samsung. For a USB stick with a keypad, I've used the Apricorn brand. Some others are good too, but if you want a starting point, then those can be useful to look up. Also, if you are looking to buy USB sticks, these can be called different things such as flash drives, USB flash drives, and USB flash memory. Now we are embarking on a journey into the world of external hard drives. These are not just gadgets, they are trusty sidekicks in the digital realm. Imagine a tiny suitcase for your digital belongings, including photos, documents, and music. That's an external hard drive for you. It's a separate device that connects to your computer, acting like a super storage sidekick, ready to save your digital day. So, why choose these digital suitcases? They're like having a backup plan for your life's work or memories. If your computer crashes, the data you saved on the external hard drive can be transferred to that computer if it's fixed, or a new computer if you have to buy a new one. Examples of people who this could help include a wedding planner who keeps her clients' dreams and plans safe on an external hard drive, or a music enthusiast with a collection so vast it could fill a small library, all backed up on his trusty drive. It's like having a secret bunker for your digital treasures. For those who love a bit of spy movie style security, some external hard drives come with keypads. You can enter in a code to access your files. It's like having a secret handshake with your data. Like any superhero gadget, external hard drives need care. Keep them away from spills, drops, and the dreaded "I left it on the bus" scenario. Also remember, they're not fond of extreme temperatures. Regardless of if you get an external hard drive with or without an external keypad, external hard drives can be a good way to back up your data. It's also possible to make your files password protected that you put on the hard drive, if your computer has the hardware to do that. So keep that in mind. We're going to explore a modern solution for keeping our personal and work information safe, which is storing backups in the cloud. First, let's talk about what the cloud actually is. Imagine your data, like photos, documents, and emails, stored not on your computer, but on a computer somewhere else that you access over the internet. That's the cloud. It's not a physical cloud in the sky, but a network of secure remote servers where you can store your data. Why use the cloud for backups? Imagine if you lost your phone or your computer crashed. If you've stored your important documents or cherished family photos in the cloud, they are safe and retrievable from another device. It's like having a digital safety deposit box that you can access from anywhere. Let's see some everyday examples. Say you're working on a family history project with photos and documents. By storing them in the cloud, other family members can access and contribute from anywhere. Also consider a small business owner keeping client records safe and accessible, even if their computer breaks down. Despite its benefits, my opinion is to be cautious about storing restricted information like government ID numbers in the cloud. I understand that some organizations may have use cases where storing restricted information could be desirable for the organization, but it makes me nervous to think about, so I want to mention my concern. However, for most types of documents like internal work files or non-sensitive personal data, cloud storage offers a potentially good balance of safety and convenience. A balanced approach is often best. For highly sensitive information, you might prefer a USB stick, an external hard drive, or having it in paper format. For most other data, the cloud offers a convenient and safe backup solution. This way, you get the best of both worlds: the security of having physical control over some of your data and the convenience and backup security of the cloud. In conclusion, cloud storage is a practical solution for backing up most types of data, offering accessibility, convenience, and a level of security. Just remember to weigh your options and choose what works best for your needs. Imagine your computer or smartphone as a big, bustling city. This city, with its buildings, roads, and services, is like your operating system, the unseen manager that helps your device run smoothly. It organizes everything, from starting up your device to running your apps and managing what you see on your screen. Now, think about all the personal things you keep in your device city, such as photos, contacts, documents, and so on. These are like the city's residents and their belongings. Just like a real city, your device can sometimes face unexpected events. When these happen, you risk losing your precious data, which you can think of as the digital equivalent of homes and memories. This is where operating system backups come into play. Doing a backup is like creating a complete, detailed map of your city, including every building, street, and even the personal belongings of every resident. If something bad happens, you can use this map to rebuild your city exactly as it was, without losing anything important. Creating a backup means making a copy of your entire operating system, kind of like your device's city, along with all your personal data. This copy could be stored safely in a different location, such as an external hard drive or a cloud service, or it could be stored on the device itself, such as your computer. It's a snapshot of your digital life at a specific point in time, ready to be restored if needed. The importance of doing regular backups cannot be overstated. It ensures that you can quickly get back on your feet after a digital disaster, with all your information intact. Imagine if a sudden storm hit your city, but you could restore everything to how it was the day before, almost like magic. That's kind of like the peace of mind a backup offers. Since every device has its own unique way of managing the metaphorical city, which in real life is the operating system, the steps to create a backup vary. I encourage you to look up how to back up your specific device. Search online for how to back up your device's name, operating system, or find the help section on your device. It might seem daunting at first, especially if you're not fond of tech stuff, but taking the step is crucial for safeguarding your digital world. It's a bit like learning first aid. You hope you'll never need it, but you'll be so grateful you learned it if you do. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are guides and tutorials on the internet designed for beginners, and they can walk you through the process step by step. Taking the time to learn about backups can save you a lot of heartache and trouble in the future. So, Let's make sure our digital cities are safe and resilient, ready to withstand some things that come their way. In this section, we're going to go over some business processes that could be relevant to your organization. This includes data classification, which is how confidential information should be, and reporting security breaches. How these are handled can vary from company to company, but I want to give you some information on these topics to help you. Your workplace may have some different terms or slightly different concepts for data classification, but we're going to go through an example of how data can be classified. With data classification, in this example, there's restricted information, internal information, and public information. Knowing which kind of information some information at work is can be useful in keeping your workplace safer from potential bad hackers. Restricted information is information that, if released to the public, could do harm to the organization you work for. Only named individuals within an organization you work for should have access to this information. Examples of restricted information can include government ID numbers, bank account information, login information, and key designs. Internal information is information that should only be shared with people inside of the organization. If internal information gets out, it shouldn't hurt the organization too much compared to restricted information. Examples of internal information includes financial information such as profits and debt, marketing information before it's released, and internal company newsletters. Public information is information meant to be for people outside of the organization. Examples of public information include released press releases, public product offerings, and client-facing workplace contact information such as a phone number or email address. Different organizations may have some different wordings for these concepts, and especially if you work for a government, you may have different levels of restricted information, such as differences between secret and top secret. So, if the information the organization you work for has some differently worded or differently categorized types of information classification, I think you should defer to that. However, this overview of information classification with the terms restricted information, internal information, and public information can help you keep information more secure in your organization. If you were scammed or hacked and don't know what to do, it's important in my view to report what happened and get help. If you're concerned that the law enforcement is going to judge you, I think a lot of people in law enforcement have heard a lot worse than getting tricked by a scam or hacked. Even if you sent some visual content that you are embarrassed about, if you report something like a romance scam that you are a victim of to law enforcement, I believe there's a good chance they've seen a lot of examples of this happening before. I also believe that law enforcement is a lot more interested in catching the people who scammed you. I think a lot of law enforcement are there because they want to help people, but my viewpoint is that if they are solely caring about cold-hearted numbers, it could be harder for them to get a paycheck if too many taxpayers are scammed out of a lot of money. So, law enforcement, in my viewpoint, has a lot more to gain by helping you. Also, you'll be helping to potentially protect others from scams and bad hacks by reporting a scam or bad hack attempt. I'll give an example of a romance scam attempt that someone tried on me and how I went about reporting it as an example. If you don't live in the USA, you can research whatever organization or organizations in the country you live in that accept cybercrime reports. I was on a dating application and matched with someone. We were chatting and that person asked me to add that person's Facebook account. Having that person asking me to add that person's Facebook account was a red flag, and I was leaning towards this being a scam at this point, but I was curious how this would play out. Over the course of our conversations, that person asked me things about myself, including for some pictures that I didn't provide that the person I think would have tried to use for sextortion, which is when someone asks for money in return for not releasing certain visuals. At one point, the person said that the person was poor and needed some money. I think you know where this is going. Eventually, the person asked me to send money through some cryptocurrency payment system. That person provided a cryptocurrency wallet ID to send money to. That digital wallet ID was useful for the report that I sent to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. Long story short, some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin use something called a blockchain, which is like a forever record of transactions made with that cryptocurrency. Let's use Bitcoin for this example. Bitcoin used to be thought of as anonymous, but now there's a field called blockchain analysis, which makes it easier to find who owns Bitcoin wallets. So, if someone in a scam gives you an ID for a digital wallet to send money to, I recommend including that digital wallet ID in your report. I also noticed while making the report that the name in the Facebook URL for the person I was chatting with was very different from the name in the profile. So that was another red flag that would have been good to notice earlier. I reported that profile to both Facebook and the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, which you can find online, and I'm happy to report that the account was taken down eventually. However, there was something interesting that I noticed before the account was taken down and during the Facebook chats when I looked at some of the account's photos. There were other people commenting on the photos, which isn't too out of the ordinary. However, I contacted some to warn those accounts of the scam. Sometime later, I noticed one of the accounts had switched to a totally different person while it was still in my previous chat history. I'm not sure if that account was hacked before or after I gave a warning, or if the account had always been fake. So, the entities that I reported this scam attempt to were the site the person added me on, which was Facebook, and the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. An interesting thing that happened was that soon after adding the fake person from the dating application on Facebook, the person blocked me on the dating application and continued to chat with me on Facebook. I'm thinking that this is to evade the account being reported since it was harder for me to report that account. However, if you can report whichever account was trying to scam you on the sites or applications the account was trying to scam you on, I think that's a good step. Please be careful when posting images of your workplace online. Make sure that there isn't any information that you or some people in the company wouldn't want to get out. For example, make sure that there isn't information on some board or computer monitor that could be compromised. If you're willing to get even more detailed, it could be a good idea to not even post what technology your company uses. This is because potential bad hackers can take note of the different technology your company is using and look up hacks for those instead of taking the extra time to try to find what technology your workplace uses using different means. There are hacks, for example, that can involve printers. If the bad hacker can look up that printer model number and hacks for it, then the bad hacker could get into your company's systems potentially. The same logic can apply to your personal images outside of work. Make sure not to post images of things such as your government-issued IDs or have any information written or on a screen that could compromise your information security. Also, I read about it being possible to get fingerprints from images. When I've posted information security awareness content where my hands show, I've tried to make an effort to put gloves on to cover my fingerprints. Consider either blurring out your fingerprints or wearing a glove if it's convenient and within your control if you're posting on social media or storing photos of yourself. Something specific that I want to also point out is to not post pictures of your keys or keys from your organization online. In some photos you post, there may be keys in the background. Either don't post those pictures, consider getting rid of the pictures in case the device your images are on is hacked, or edit the pictures if an image of a key you have is in it. This is because it's possible to make copies of your key from an image of your key. Instructions of how to do this are pretty easy to find, so keep yourself safer and consider not ever posting an image of your keys on the internet. This isn't an official suggestion, but I guess if you wanted to do some counterintelligence, you could get a fake key made that doesn't work with anything you have. Then you could have that in some image and find if someone takes the bait. I think you can just get away with not posting images of your keys online though. From possible information on a computer screen in the background of an image of a company for social media, to key images and more, it's important to make sure that restricted information or internal information, neither of which are meant for the public, isn't posted online. In this section, we'll go over examples of scams you may or may not encounter. This includes email scams, online advertisement scams, voice scams such as through a phone call, texting scams, and QR code hacking. This isn't an exhaustive list of potential scams, but will hopefully give you an overview of some scams. Feel free to tell some people you know about some of the scams that you learn about in this section. We're going to cover a problem, which is fake bank emails. These are emails that look like they're from your bank, but they're not. Imagine getting a letter that seems to be from a friend, but it's actually a scam ad. That's kind of like what we're dealing with. Let's go into how to recognize and handle these emails safely. A fake bank email typically looks very similar to a real one from your bank. It might have the bank's logo and use professional language. The key difference is that it's not actually from your bank. However, it's someone impersonating your bank. The email might ask you to click a link or provide personal information. How do you spot these fake emails? Firstly, check the sender's email address. If it doesn't match the bank's official email address, that's a red flag. Another red flag is if the email urgently asks you to click a link or provide personal information. Also, if you hover over a link and you see that the domain is not the bank's, that's a red flag. Be careful since some scams hinge on you not noticing small differences in the domain name. For example, maybe one of the letters was duplicated in the fake domain. You could try hovering over a link to see what the link is, which works in some systems. However, clicking on links in these emails can be dangerous. It might take you to a fake website that looks like your bank's, where you might unknowingly enter personal information. It's important to avoid clicking on links or downloading attachments from emails you're not sure about. If you receive an email that looks like it's from your bank but seems suspicious, the best action is to verify its authenticity. You can do this by contacting your bank directly using a phone number or email address from their official website, not the one provided in the suspicious email. When you receive a suspicious email pretending to be from your bank, it's a good idea to report it. While I don't know the exact authority for every country, you can usually report it to your bank or look up online resources in your country for reporting such scams. Protecting your personal information is key. Remember, Never share your personal or banking information like passwords or PIN in response to an email. Treat your personal information like you would a valuable possession. Keep it secure and share it cautiously. Thank you for joining me to learn about fake bank emails. Staying vigilant and informed is the best way to protect yourself from these scams. Remember, if an email seems suspicious, it's always better to check directly with your bank. Stay safe and cautious in your digital interactions. Picture this. You receive an email that looks like a bill for something you can't recall purchasing. It's like getting a receipt for a ghost dinner you never attended. Our journey today will help you learn to identify and avoid these digital illusions. A fake invoice email scam is like a chameleon. It disguises itself to look like a legitimate invoice from a company or service provider. You might see an email for a software subscription renewal, an overdue payment for a service, or an equipment purchase you never made. These scams exploit the routine nature of invoices to catch you off guard. Imagine you're a small business owner and you receive an email for a substantial order of printer ink from a supplier you don't recognize. Or you're a freelancer who gets an invoice for a membership fee to a job listing site you've never used. These emails often mimic the layout and language of real invoices to create an air of legitimacy. These fake invoices sometimes have signs that give them away. They may use generic greetings or have slight inconsistencies in the company name or logo. The sender's email address might look suspicious, and there's often an unwarranted sense of urgency to pay immediately. It's like getting a package delivery notice for an address that's not quite yours. Engaging with these fake invoices can lead to trouble. By responding, you might inadvertently provide personal or financial information to scammers. In some cases, clicking on a link in the email can install harmful software on your computer. It's like following a treasure map that leads to a pitfall instead of gold. If you receive an invoice that raises suspicion, take steps to verify it. Contact the company directly using information from their official website, not the details in the email. Calling the official number back is like getting a suspicious phone call and then calling back using the number listed in the phone book to make sure it's legitimate. When faced with a potential fake invoice email, reporting it is a wise move. You can usually report these emails to your email provider or whichever government organization exists in your country to deal with scams. Each report contributes to a broader awareness and helps in combating these deceptive practices. Being vigilant is your first line of defense. Maintain records of your purchases and subscriptions and scrutinize unexpected invoices carefully. Treat each unsolicited invoice with a healthy dose of skepticism, like you would a surprise knock on your door late at night. The impact of these scams goes beyond financial loss. They can undermine your confidence and sense of security. Educating yourself and others about these scams is a powerful tool. By understanding their tactics, you can protect not only your finances, but also your peace of mind. With these insights, you are now hopefully better equipped to identify and sidestep these digital deceptions. Remember, in the online world, a little caution goes a long way. Stay safe, stay skeptical, and stay informed. You know those times when you get unexpected package-related emails? Sometimes those are scams. Let's explore how to identify these deceitful emails and keep our inboxes safe. Fake shipment emails are deceptive messages that look like they're from reputable delivery services or online retailers. They might say your package is on the way or delivery issue. But unlike real notifications, these emails are bait to lure you into a trap. It's like receiving a postcard saying you've won a free vacation. It's exciting, but probably not true. Imagine that you order a book online. A few days later, you receive an email with the subject delivery issue from what seems like the courier service. The email asks you to click a link to reschedule your delivery. But wait, the courier's name in the email doesn't match the one you used. That's a scam red flag. Scam emails often create urgency or demand action. They may ask you to click on a link or provide personal information to resolve a delivery issue. Real courier services usually don't ask for sensitive information via email. It's like getting a call from someone claiming to be a police officer but asking for your credit card number. Clicking links in these emails can lead to fake websites designed to steal your information or install harmful software onto your computer. It's like following a stranger who promises to show you a shortcut only to lead you into a dark alley for bad reasons. Did you receive a suspicious shipment email? Verify it first. Check the sender's email address and compare it with the official email of the courier or retailer. If in doubt, contact the company directly through their official website or customer service number. It's like cross-referencing a story you heard to see if it's really true. If you're pretty sure an email is a scam, consider reporting it. The exact authority for reporting varies depending on which country you are in, but a good start is to inform your email provider. They can guide you regarding further steps, and your action might prevent others from falling victim to similar scams. Remember, being cautious and verifying suspicious emails is crucial in the digital age. Stay alert, stay informed, and help keep the online community safe. Your vigilance is a key defense against these digital tricksters. Welcome to our session on navigating fake current event email scams. In a world where news spreads fast, scammers exploit trending events to create convincing but deceptive emails. Imagine getting an email seemingly about a major event, like a natural disaster relief effort, but it's actually a scam. Today, we'll explore how to recognize and protect ourselves from these scams. Fake current event scams use recent news or events as bait. They might look like an urgent update on a natural disaster, a political event, or even a global pandemic. Scammers use these scenarios to create a sense of urgency or appeal to your emotions, hoping you'll click on a link or provide personal information without thinking twice. Key red flags include unfamiliar email addresses, urgent or alarming language, and requests for personal information or donations. It's like getting an unexpected call from a distant relative asking for money. You'd be right to question it. Consider these scenarios. An email arrives in your inbox with a headline about a recent celebrity scandal, complete with a link for the full story. The other scenario is a message about a political upheaval, inviting you to show your support by clicking a link. Both seem relevant, but clicking could lead you into a scammer's trap. Engaging with these emails, whether by clicking links or replying, can compromise your personal data. Clicking may lead to fake websites designed to harvest your information or infect your device with harmful software. It's like accidentally inviting a thief into your house. Always verify the authenticity of such emails. Cross-reference the news with reputable sources. Visit well-known news websites or official channels for accurate information. It's like hearing a neighborhood rumor and then checking with trusted neighbors or local news to confirm the facts. If you receive a suspicious email related to current events, reporting it can prevent others from falling victim. Generally, you can alert your email provider or search online for your country's cybercrime reporting procedures. Thank you for joining me to learn about fake current event email scams. By staying vigilant, double-checking sources, and reporting suspicious emails, you play a crucial role in your own digital safety and that of others. Remember, in the digital world, a cautious approach is often the best defense. It's possible to make fake versions of people that can be used to scam people. A term for this kind of fake is deepfake. A deepfake can be in both visual and audio formats. I've seen advertisements before that use deepfake versions of business people to sell what ultimately is a scam. In my case, I was able to tell that the advertisement video was a deepfake because of some incongruity between the audio and the mouth movements. However, I expect deepfakes to become increasingly convincing as time moves forward. A way to help you be protected from deepfakes, whether or not someone is impersonating your boss or an advertisement is impersonating a celebrity, is to be aware of scams in general that can occur. For example, if your boss through video asks you to send gift cards, you may want to double check with your boss in real life that your boss actually wants that, since a lot of scammers want to be paid with gift cards. If a deal that someone promoting in the video ad seems too good to be true, it may be a good idea to consider not engaging with that advertisement, but that's to your discretion. There are a couple of videos you can watch to give some more context on how deepfakes can be used. You can go to C-SPAN's website and look up Senate AI deepfake via ChatGPT, as well as Story of Attempted Scam Using AI. I didn't want to pay the licensing fees, so I didn't include these, but I think these are worth watching. Both together should take less than 10 minutes to watch, then you can come back to this course. The first video shows a senator in the federal Senate of the USA using a deepfake of his own voice that's saying a script that artificial intelligence wrote. The second video goes into a scam where someone deepfaked the voice of his son, and the scammer made a story about some kind of emergency needing money. Deepfakes can be created with enough of a recording of people's voices. As a half-joke side note, if you want to share this video series with people to help me justify making enough recordings of my voice that people could now deepfake it, I'd appreciate it. Imagine you're sitting in front of the computer and you get a call from what you believe is the company you do banking with. The caller on the other end says that your bank account was breached and that person needs your government ID, address, and some other information to verify your identity. Maybe you think to yourself, that's suspicious. And you tell the person on the phone, I'll check that your number matches the official one on the bank's website. The person on the other end of the phone says, by all means, go ahead. You'll see that This number matches the bank's official phone number. You look on the website and see that the number on the website matches the number of the caller. You give the caller the information the caller requests, and the caller says, "Thank you. Your account should be fine now," and hangs up. A week later, your identity is stolen. In this story, your identity was stolen as a direct result of this call. It's possible for phone numbers to be faked as of recording, so a scammer could make a phone number look like the real phone number. What you should have done in this situation is hang up, dial in the number on the bank's website, and then talk to staff at the bank. The scammer may try to call from what looks like the same exact number you're calling in the moment, so watch out for that. In this context, it would have been good not to give out a piece of restricted information like a government ID number, especially without calling the number the bank has at first. Another form of this scam tries to get past two-factor authentication. A bad hacker may attempt to do a password reset on your account and then call you to get the code that was texted to you for two-factor authentication. Hopefully, your two-factor authentication code on your phone comes with a message like, "We'll never ask for this number verbally over the phone," or something in spirit to that effect. You shouldn't verbally tell someone what your two-factor authentication code that was texted to you is in most practical applications that I can think of. If you get a call that your bank account has been breached, please make sure to hang up and consider directly calling the helpline for the real bank. This is a scam that can make people feel a sense of panic and urgency, but that's part of the scammer's plan. Make people aware of this scam so that you can help keep them safer. For some form of new technology you've not seen before, it might be good to look on a video website for an example of someone actually using the product. There's an advertisement I've seen for something that I'll vaguely say is supposed to make life more comfortable during a season. The advertisement has a robotic-sounding voice that told me about a breakthrough some university student had, and that there are so many people in the USA who are buying this device to feel more comfortable. I looked up the product online, partly out of morbid curiosity since this ad seemed like a scam to me, and it turns out that the product was a scam. While other product categories have scams too, since it's relevant to my example, watch out for heating or cooling product scams, and look for product reviews beforehand. Additionally, it's possible some of these scam product sites may want you to put in payment information to steal your card information, or get your personal information for some other reason, such as putting you on some list of people who have a higher chance of being scammed since you fell for that. Imagine you're on a video website and see that a creator on the website that you like a lot is doing a free giveaway in an advertisement. You may be excited, especially since you like free things, and that creator is a trusted creator. However, consider that it may be a scam. I saw an advertisement on a video website that claimed to be from one of that website's most popular creators as of writing. The advertisement promised to give money if I just went to a website and answered some poll question. I wouldn't recommend doing this, and if you do try to do it, you could try it in a virtual machine, which is a task outside the scope of this program. But I went to the website that the video wanted potential victims to go to. I was then forwarded to a site that quickly forwarded me to another site. On that destination website, I was asked to answer a poll. I assume from there someone may try one of many tactics to attempt to scam me. The website may try to get me to pay into a cryptocurrency exchange in order to redeem the money in an advance fee scam. The website could just be farming the contact information of gullible people for future scam attempts, or the website could potentially try to install a virus. I decided not to go further. This is just one example of a scam that uses a famous person as a way to try to trick people, when the famous person didn't agree to be in the advertisement. I've also seen some video advertisements of the CEOs of cryptocurrency exchanges, except it's a fake AI generated version with the mouths moving a bit weird when compared to the audio coming out. I've heard of similar scams being attempted by using fake AI versions of celebrities, such as musicians. One involved an AI-generated version of a famous musician that allegedly was promoting some cheap cookware that normally sells for a lot more for the same brand. Let's say this brand, for this example, would normally cost $300 for a pot, but this advertisement claimed that the pots were on sale for $15. A thought process could go that if someone was skeptical of if this is too good to be true, then that person is only out $15. However, let's say that 1,000 people think a similar thing. Then that scammer just brought in $15,000, thus giving more of a financial incentive to continue the scam. So, even if something seems like a scam, but you think you're only losing a little bit of money, that's still going to support a scammer. So I'd advise avoid paying into something that seems like a scam. If you see a celebrity promoting something that seems on brand or otherwise within reason, that may be okay, but still do your due diligence. If you see a celebrity promoting something way off brand or with some offer that's too good to be true, it may be good to have an additional level of due diligence in case it's a scam that the celebrity doesn't endorse. Let people you know be aware of this kind of scam too. The more people who know this kind of scam exists, the more that hopefully less people will be scammed. A quick tip, by the way, if you get a new window opened that you don't want or are redirected quickly to another website, is that you can hold down the CTRL key and press W to close the browser tab on a lot of browsers and operating systems. I've done this before when something came up that I didn't want. If you want to practice this, please open another tab and don't close this tab so you can continue watching more conveniently. Imagine that a natural disaster struck someplace, and a day later you see an advertisement to donate to a charity to help that area. You may feel inclined to donate to that, especially since there may be some urgency implied in the advertisement given the situation. It's possible that this could be a scam advertisement. Having urgency in an advertisement like this is something that scammers can use in other scam contexts too, such as email scams. This short time window for fake donations can allow the scammers to get some money before the bank account they are using is closed, for example, which could happen in a day. The charity aspect is meant to pull on your heartstrings too, to make you more vulnerable to this scam. If you do want to donate to an organization that helps in case of natural disasters, there are a couple of websites that I like that rates charities. Those websites are called Charity Navigator and Charity Watch. For the case of natural disasters, as an example, you could type in the word disaster to see what comes up on those websites. Regardless of if a website is on Charity Navigator or Charity Watch, on the off chance that one of the charity websites got compromised somehow, make sure not to put in information like your government ID number unless for some reason it seems absolutely reasonably necessary. Also, if you see a charity scam, please report it. In the case of seeing a charity scam in an advertisement, given that I'm in the USA at the moment, I'd want to report it to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center if I felt reasonably sure that it was a scam. Just to be clear, just because a charity is not on either of the websites I suggested doesn't mean it's a scam. However, if a charity website is asking for something like my government ID numbers, or if the charity is asking for donations through gift cards or wire transfers, which are payment methods that some scammers use, I'd be skeptical. If you're in another country, you could report a scam website within the bounds of the law of where you are to whichever organization works with such cases in the country you are in. Oh, the legendary fake tech support scam has been around for a while. You may see an advertisement sometimes in the form of a pop-up that says that there's something wrong with your computer. For example, the ad may claim that your computer has 125 viruses and that you need to call some number to get the issue fixed. Please don't call the number if you get an advertisement like that. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen an advertisement like that which I believe was legitimate. Let's say you're morbidly curious and were to call the number. The following series of events may happen. You would call the number, then the person at the other end of the line could make some dramatic show of how badly that person thinks your computer is infected. Then the fake tech support person may try to get you to install software which allows the fake tech support person to remotely control your computer. After you install the software that allows for a remote connection, the fake tech support person would try to connect, and after connecting, bring up something that looks like complex code but is really just meant to look fancy for people who don't know a lot about computers. The fake tech support person could then remark something like, "Wow, you have so many viruses. I can fix this for $150. Then the fake tech support person could have you log into your bank account. From here, the scammer first off may have your bank login information depending on the software that the scammer had you install. Second, the scammer may have you type into a field in a window the $150 amount. The scammer would add a 0 and click enter, and then the scammer could make a big deal about how the scammer is going to lose that job if this issue isn't fixed, and the scammer even could edit the code of the page to make the bank account look like it went down $1,500, even though if you just refreshed the page, it might not show that, since the bank's servers didn't register the transaction and the scammer just made a surface level change to the number. The grand display from the scammer is meant to make you feel bad with a sense of urgency of sending the correct amount. However, in order to send the correct amount, since a bank transfer may be traced, is to go and buy gift cards for the scammer. So, if you were to fall for this scam, you'd go out and buy the gift cards and give the codes to the scammer. The scammer could then take that code, go to a website where people buy gift card codes for lower prices than the surface value of the gift card, since some people legitimately get cards they don't want and would rather take a smaller amount of cash, and then the scammer would make money off of you. Long story short, if you see an advertisement that claims that you have a certain number of viruses on your computer and that you have to call a tech support number, please consider not calling that number or clicking on the advertisement. Let others know about this potential scam as well to help keep them safer from potential scams. There's something called a QR code, which is like a square made up of a bunch of blocks that are black or white. If you scan a QR code with something that can read a QR code, like a lot of smartphones, then in the case of a smartphone as an example, you can go to the website attached to that QR code. However, there are bad things that can happen as a result of this. If you're out and see a QR code, my advice is to consider not scanning that QR code or seeing if an alternative way to get to the same site exists. For example, I heard of someone going to a chain restaurant and someone scanned what that person thought was a QR code for the menu. It turns out that QR code was maliciously placed in the restaurant, and an account that person had in an application on that person's smartphone was hacked. In this case, I'd recommend asking for a physical menu or trying to find a digital version of the menu online if the website has that available. Sometimes you may be able to find the menu on a map-related application of the restaurant. I've heard about QR codes in emails being used as well as part of a scam. For example, the scam email may claim that the QR code is for logging in to the bank's website, for example. There may be cases where a legitimate email requests that you use a QR code to log in, but I'd be skeptical. My opinion is that it's better to go to the bank's website directly to log in this case. There may be cases where you 100% trust a QR code that someone is providing you. However, I still think you should usually be cautious about scanning QR codes. Let others know about this potential issue of bad QR codes to help keep them safer. In this video, we'll cover a topic that's increasingly happening in our digital world, which is fake bank account verification texts. These texts can pop up on your phone at any time your phone is able to get texts, masquerading as messages from your bank. Let's explore how to spot and sidestep these digital pitfalls. Imagine receiving a text that appears to be from your bank, saying something like unusual sign-in detected. Please verify your account details. It might include a link or ask for personal information. However, in reality, it's not from your bank at all. It's a scammer trying to gain access to your account. Let's consider this example. You get a text claiming to be from your bank, alerting you about an unauthorized transaction. It urges you to click a link to secure your account. In another instance, you receive a text message asking you to confirm your account details to continue uninterrupted service. These messages are designed to create urgency and trick you into responding. How can you tell if a text is a scam? Look out for messages that create a sense of panic or urgency. Banks typically don't ask for sensitive information like passwords or your PIN via text. Also, be wary of texts from unknown or suspicious numbers. Responding to these texts or clicking on links can have serious consequences. You might unknowingly give away your personal details, or you could end up downloading malware onto your phone, which can steal information. It's like giving a house key to someone who claims to be a locksmith but is actually a thief. If you're unsure whether a text is legitimate, don't respond directly. Instead, contact your bank using a trusted number from their official website or the back of your bank card. Think of it as verifying a rumor by asking the person it's about, not the person who spread it. If you encountered a suspicious text, it's helpful to report it. The specifics of where to report will vary by country, but you can usually start with your mobile service provider or bank. Reporting these scams can help protect you and others from falling victim. Thanks for joining me to discuss how to avoid falling for fake bank verification texts. By being vigilant, questioning unexpected messages, and verifying their authenticity, you can safeguard your personal information. Remember, in the digital age, caution is your best ally. Stay safe and informed. Welcome to our exploration of fake account suspension text scams. Picture this scenario that might resonate with you. You're at work, juggling tasks, and suddenly your phone buzzes with a text message claiming your work email account is suspended due to suspicious activity. It urges immediate action. This situation is a common setup for a scam, similar to an unexpected fire drill just when you are in the middle of an important task. Let's cover how we can discern these deceptive messages and protect ourselves in our professional lives. Imagine receiving a text that appears to be from your company's IT department or a commonly used business platform. The message alerts you to an account suspension and prompts you to click a link to resolve the issue. However, in reality, it's a clever ruse crafted by scammers to exploit your instinct to quickly rectify work-related issues. Here's another scenario. You get a text saying, "Urgent, your bank account has been suspended due to unusual login attempts. Click here to secure your account." A third example is a message that says your PayPal account is temporarily locked. Click here to verify your identity. These messages use fear to prompt a hasty response. These messages often create a sense of urgency and include a link or request personal information. Genuine companies usually don't send unsolicited texts with links, nor do they ask for sensitive information via text. It's like getting a call from someone claiming to be a police officer, but asking for your house keys. Engaging with these texts can lead to various risks. Clicking on a link might take you to a fake website designed to steal your personal information. Responding with your details can give scammers access to your accounts. It's like accidentally giving a thief the combination to your safe. If you've received a suspicious text, pause and verify the situation. Contact the company using a trusted number or email, not the details in the text. Similar to how you'd confirm an unexpected piece of news from a friend by calling them directly, confirm the legitimacy of the message. If you believe you've received a fake account suspension text, consider reporting it. While the specific reporting authority varies by country, a good starting point is to inform your mobile service provider or the company that the scammer is impersonating. Your actions can help protect others. To protect yourself, treat unexpected texts with skepticism. Maintain strong, unique passwords for your accounts, and consider using two-factor authentication for an added layer of security. Think of your personal information as valuable currency, not to be shared lightly. Awareness is key in the fight against these scams. By educating yourself and others, you can recognize and avoid these traps. Remember, scammers often rely on surprise and urgency. Your informed skepticism is a powerful tool against their tactics. Remember, in our digital world, staying vigilant and informed is a good defense. Keep questioning, keep verifying, and stay one step ahead of these scammers. Let people you know learn about this type of fake account suspension scam by telling them to. The concept of a fake package delivery scam was covered in the email section, but I wanted to give a little more information and drive home the point that similar scams can happen in different ways. Imagine you're waiting for a package. Maybe you just got an awesome new book about information security that you're so excited to get. And you know that the book is coming from a specific mail service. Then you get a text that reads, "Greetings from other mail service. Please click this link to confirm your package." If you click that link, a possibility is as follows. You could be brought to a login page that is a fake version of the mail service described in the text. If you happen to have a login for that mail service's website and you log in, then the bad hacker could have your login information. After that, there may be some kind of form to confirm your identification in order to get the package. This, however, is a fake request. If you give your identification information, that could be used to steal your identity later. It's also possible that by clicking the link, the bad hacker could attempt to install a virus on your device. Bad hackers trying to hack you in this way could send different names of postal services at different times, hoping that one happens to be the one you use. Also, the bad hackers could choose seemingly random times in the hopes that you happen to be waiting for a package to arrive. I'd say most of the times that I've gotten this kind of texting scam attempt, I wasn't expecting a box. This text scam does feature some level of urgency that is a part of a lot of other scams. A potential victim may think that if the victim doesn't quickly verify the victim's information, then the victim might not get the victim's box. Your phone might have the option to report the text scam as spam. Doing that could be a good idea. Let people you know learn about this text scam so you can help to keep them safer from this scam. Imagine that you're sitting down eating ice cream and you get a text message claiming to be from a tax authority. The text says that you've committed crimes and need to act fast without telling anyone about what's going on in order to shield them. If you go through the instructions the fake tax authority agent tells you, there are scams that could happen from there. A couple of scams that could happen are that the fake tax authority agent could ask you to pay the fake owed amount, or the fake agent could ask you for restricted information such as your government ID numbers in order to steal your identity. In the case of the USA, the Internal Revenue Service, which is the federal tax authority of the USA, has an area of the IRS's website that addresses text scam attempts. I'll read what it says with some edits for clarification and ease of reading in an audio format. The question says, what if I receive an unsolicited text message or short message service message claiming to be from the IRS? 1. Don't reply. 2. Don't open any attachments. They can contain malicious code that may infect your computer or mobile phone. 3. Don't click on any links. If you clicked on links in a suspicious SMS and entered confidential information, visit the IRS's Identity Theft Central on the IRS's website. 4. Copy the scam message and forward it to the number 7726. This can help your wireless provider spot and block similar messages in the future. 5. Please include both the caller ID and the message body in your email to phishing@irs.gov. Create a new email. Copy the caller ID from the message and paste it into the email. Press and hold on the body of the text message, select Copy, paste into the same email, and send to phishing@irs.gov. If you are unable to copy the caller ID or message body, please forward a screenshot of the message to phishing@irs.gov. A multimedia messaging service, or MMS for short, message may require you to save the attachment and then attach the file saved to an email to phishing@irs.gov. 6. Delete the original text. 7. For more information, there's an IRS video called Here's How to Avoid IRS Text Messaging Scams. So, if you get a fake tax authority text, please report the text to your country's tax authority if it's within the bounds to do so. Let people you know be aware of fake tax authority scams to help keep them safer. In this video, we're going to cover some concepts of deleting data from some devices. If you want to remove the data from your USB stick, you can format it. Oftentimes, when you delete files, the space is freed, but the data isn't totally gone. This is why some digital forensic techniques work to get files that people thought were deleted from a device. That freed memory can be overwritten if you put new files on it. However, let's say you just deleted things on your USB stick, such as documents with your government ID information. If you deleted those files in a way that a lot of people may consider normal, but then didn't put the new files on the USB stick between the time you deleted the files and the time it was hypothetically stolen by someone who knows how to do digital forensics, then your files may be found that you thought were deleted. This is where formatting comes in. You can think of formatting as a kind of super deletion for files. In order to do this task, I'd recommend looking up the current way to format a USB stick with your current operating system, such as if you're using Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. There may be reasons why you'd want to destroy a hard drive, but for most cases, you could just use a program that wipes a hard drive. Basically, you can think of the data on a hard drive as a bunch of ones and zeros, and a program that wipes your hard drive can reset all of the ones to a zero. However, let's say you have some special reason that you want to destroy the hard drive. Maybe the hard drive is cursed. It may be best to go to a place that offers hard drive destruction as a paid service. That place may shred the hard drive by putting it into a physical shredder, or do something called degaussing, which uses magnet science to destroy the data on a hard drive, basically. If you're in a rush, if you use a hammer to break the correct parts on a hard drive, that could destroy the ability for someone to read the data. However, I don't recommend smashing a hard drive with a hammer. If you want to wipe your hard drive's data, you can look up how to do so with a question such as, "How do I wipe my hard drive?" Then add the operating system you're using. So, if you're using the Linux distribution called Pop! OS, for example, you can search, "How do I wipe my hard drive? Pop! OS," and then you can look for suggestions from there. Windows 10 and 11 should have an option called Reset PC to help with that. If you're getting rid of a smartphone, it can be worth doing something called a factory reset. This is to help delete files from a smartphone. You'd want to do this so that whoever gets your phone next hopefully won't be able to get your files from your smartphone. If you have a SIM card and an SD card for your smartphone, consider removing those as well so that your personal information is more secure. The SIM and SD cards in a smartphone can usually be accessed on the side of a smartphone in an area that can be popped off or slid off. iPhones, as far as I know, don't have SD cards, but other smartphones might have SD cards that hold some data. I think you probably have to log into things at work if you're watching this video, and you also have to go through some annoying ways to do so. In this video, we'll go over ways that you can log into systems to help you be secure, including one that I'm hoping will catch on in the future to make your login experience less annoying. This, in my opinion, is one of the most important videos of this course. Adopting some of the practices described in this video can help you stay safer. You're probably familiar with the system of logging in where you type in your username and then your password, which is something you know. However, in order for your account to be even more secure, it can be good to have a second part of the authentication process. The reason this can be useful is that if a bad hacker either guesses your password using a computer to try a bunch of passwords until it guesses yours, or your password is leaked and someone gets the password that way, your account would also need a second way if you've enabled it in order to get access, which may be harder for the bad hacker to get. A practice for having a second factor of authentication is to mix and match something you know, like your password, something you have, like a USB key, or something you are, like your fingerprint. So, when I introduce these ways that you could potentially log into a system, I'll introduce the ways to log in with which of the options that are matched. To log into some websites, if you have a smartphone, you may be asked to use something called an authenticator application. There are at least a couple of ways to use the authenticator application on your smartphone, which is something you have, with the password, which is something you know. When logging into a website, the authentication application may have a temporary number for the website you're trying to log into. If a bad hacker doesn't have access to your authenticator application, it can be difficult for a bad hacker to guess those numbers before the time period is done. Another way you can log into a website may be to use a fingerprint scanner paired with a password. You can use something called a password manager to store different passwords for each website that requires one, which I highly recommend doing. In order to access the passwords, you can set up the password manager to use a physical device such as a fingerprint scanner to be required to access the password. So the password, which in spirit is something you know, even though technically it's the password manager that knows it, and the fingerprint scanner uses something you are, which in this case is represented by a fingerprint as the second form of authentication. There are some keyboards that have a fingerprint scanner built in for a purpose like this. Before I continue, I want to stress how much I recommend that you use a password manager and learn to use one for as long as you'll be using passwords. If you keep using the same password for websites, or you use passwords that are short or could be easily guessed, then your account may be easier to get into. However, with password managers, the passwords that the password manager makes can be a lot longer and harder to guess than what a lot of people may be able to make for a password. Additionally, you can have a different password for each website rather than one or a small number of passwords for websites. Out of all of the things in this course, you adopting the use of a password manager, I believe, is one of the most important. The password manager that I use has a browser extension that I found useful, so I've been able to go between Windows, Mac OS, and Linux systems and still be able to use the same password manager. When you're making passwords, which is something you know and which you'll need for a password manager, consider the following. You could use a password, but using a passphrase may be better. For example, consider having some phrase like "I like barbecue" and surround that phrase with some special characters and have a number somewhere in there. So you could have a passphrase such as "I like barbecue 1, If you're allowed to use commas for your passwords, it could be fun to do so because sometimes leaked password lists are put into CSV, which stands for comma separated values files. If you have a comma in your password, then the list may possibly have a little bit of trouble listing your password correctly, which could make it slightly harder for some automated systems to put your password into a website. It's unlikely that the comma in the password would stop the password from being listed if it somehow was leaked, but it at least has a slightly higher chance of breaking some lists compared to some other character options. It's more important to have a long password, which I recommend being at least 16 characters, since it's a lot harder for password guessing software to guess a password that is that long. Using a passphrase instead of a password could help you get to that character length. Now, back to multi-factor authentication methods. You may have an option of getting a text message with a code to verify you are who you say you are, coupled with a password. I'll qualify you having the phone number and phone to receive the text message on as something you have, and the password as something you know. However, depending on the system you're using, text messages may not be encrypted, and something called a SIM swap fraud is possible, so there could be a couple of potential issues with this. A SIM swap fraud is basically where a bad hacker makes their SIM card work with your phone number. This could happen, for example, by someone cloning your voice or just acting as if that person is you in order to convince the person at your phone carrier that the bad hacker's phone is yours. If you have the option to use other methods of multi-factor authentication that I've mentioned in this video, I'll recommend those. But using text messaging as a form of multi-factor authentication is, in my opinion, so much better than not doing multi-factor authentication at all. The last method of multi-factor authentication that I'll mention is another one of the most important things that I want you to adopt. Please buy USB keys as a way to do multi-factor authentication. Pairing a USB key with a password manager can be a good way to help you stay safer online. So, if you're using a USB key, which is something you have if you buy one, paired with something you in spirit know like a password saved by a password manager, this is a pretty good combination in my opinion. There was a big tech company that switched to using USB keys as a requirement within the company, and the number of successful email scams went down. Even if a bad hacker has a password, it's a lot harder for a bad hacker that's far away to have your USB key. There are other brands, but I like the brand YubiKey, which I'm not affiliated with. If you buy YubiKeys, I recommend buying 2 or 3 in case you lose one or something happens to one of the keys. It's important to have a backup USB key. I recommend buying one of the YubiKeys that are larger since those can be harder to lose and easier to take out. I personally don't recommend the YubiKey with the fingerprint scanner on it, since I personally had trouble getting it to work and register my fingerprint when I tried it. I can imagine someone who isn't as well versed in tech things getting more annoyed than I was trying to figure out how to use that. Also, there's a smaller version of the YubiKey, but in my opinion, that can be easier to lose. And also, I have so much trouble taking it out of my Mac Studio that I have to use pliers to take it out. This is just my personal recommendation based on my experience. I highly recommend that you buy USB keys and learn how to use these. If you've picked up nothing else from this entire course, learning about password managers and USB keys I think are a couple of the most important things you can learn about from this course. Please use these, but make sure to buy multiple USB keys and keep the backups safe, possibly in a fireproof container or in a safety deposit box just in case. There's a relatively new method of logging into things that I hope will catch on, and I figured I'd mention it here. Maybe you can peer pressure the company you work for to adopt this, if you feel it's appropriate. You know how annoying it can be to have to change passwords and type those in? Well, there's a system called a passkey system, which, long story short, is a passwordless way to log in. You could put in your email address, which is something you know, and then use something like a USB key, which is something you have if you own a USB key, and use that to log in without using a password. There are a lot of cybersecurity people who are excited about passkey systems and hope that passwordless systems grow in popularity due to the combination of security and ease of use those systems can provide. There are other methods for multi-factor authentication, but I want to focus on ones that may be more applicable to what I feel is the average person's everyday life. I think you'll have enough to springboard from based on this video, and I hope that you'll be adopting multi-factor authentication, sometimes referred to as two-factor authentication, when you're logging in online. Imagine this. Our hero, Joe, a not so tech-savvy but incredibly enthusiastic coffee lover, decides to work from his favorite coffee shop. Little does he know, he's about to embark on a dangerous journey into the world of public Wi-Fi. There sits Joe, sipping his triple-shot no-foam latte, eager to dive into his work. He connects to the coffee shop's Wi-Fi without a second thought. He thinks to himself, the sweet, sweet nectar of unlimited internet. Our dear friend Joe believes the biggest risk today is whether his latte is decaf by mistake. The inner lie he tells himself is, it's just Wi-Fi. This is safe. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, Joe, if only you knew. Enter the villains of our tale, User 1, the password thief, and User 2, the data bandit. They love coffee shops for the same reason Joe does, which is easy access to public Wi-Fi. Joe gets a text from someone at work whom Joe told that he is working at a coffee shop. The person from work texted back with a message that he should turn on his company VPN to be able to access company assets. A VPN, or virtual private network, cloaks his connection better, keeping sneaky User 1 and User 2 at bay. Joe is then able to access things like his work emails. User 1 walks past Joe and tries to peer at what is on Joe's screen. However, Joe's work laptop is using a screen protector to make that difficult to do. User 1 walks back to User 2 defeated. Joe was able to stay safer while using public Wi-Fi thanks to the policies of the company he works for. A VPN can be used to help make your connection safer, and a screen protector for your laptop or smartphone is something you can try to use to help keep people from peering over your shoulder to see information on the screen. Also, I recommend not accessing restricted information while using public Wi-Fi or accessing something like your bank account or enter your credit card information. Even if you're using a screen protector, it still makes me a bit nervous thinking that someone could see the login information or card information being typed in if I'm working on a laptop in public. For example, what if a bad hacker happened to hack one of the cameras? At that point, there could be video footage of the username and password being typed in on your laptop that the bad hacker could have access to. Hopefully, the organization you work for has some things in place to help you stay safer from bad hackers if you're allowed to work in a place like a coffee shop or airport. Regardless of if the organization you work for does that, it's good to be aware of how you can keep yourself safer from potential bad hackers. You could have someone boost the signal of your wireless keys from outside of your house and unlock your car, or someone could walk past you and scan a card even if your wallet is in your pocket or a purse or backpack, and more. We'll go through some things that I'd consider to be physical information security tips. That's how I'm wording it anyways. There are some general product categories that I'll recommend buying as a part of this, depending on the issue, since I think that will help you be more secure than otherwise. Any particular brands I mention aren't affiliated with me as of the time of recording. Keys for various things, along with car keys with the ability to wirelessly unlock a vehicle, should be considered. Don't post pictures of your keys online, since someone could make a copy of your key from a picture. If you're concerned about someone being able to buy a generic key for the object your key is for, you could consider contacting someone to do something called lock rekeying. For keys with the ability to wirelessly unlock vehicles, things get into sci-fi territory, and it's one of those things where horrors outside of many people's comprehension are real and currently happening. It's possible to go outside of someone's home with a signal-boosting antenna to unlock a vehicle that can be opened wirelessly. This kind of antenna boosts the signal enough to get your key's signal from inside of your house and transmit it to the vehicle. To prevent this, you can get something called a Faraday pouch. Basically, a Faraday pouch is supposed to be able to block wireless signals. So, if you have keys with the ability to unlock your vehicle remotely, and someone tries to boost the signal of the key to unlock your vehicle, this could help protect against that. You could also make it a habit to put the keys in the Faraday pouch when you get home. If someone is using a device to boost a signal to skim your cards, it's possible, for example, for someone to clone something like a work ID card. From there, the person could later get unauthorized access to a building. An example I heard of this happening is when someone was talking with a security guard, in that someone had something inside of a backpack that someone was wearing that could read things like badges. The issue for that someone trying to clone the security guard's ID badge was getting close enough for the card to be scanned by the device in the backpack. Eventually, after a conversation, the person hugged the security guard and was able to get close enough through that to scan the ID card in order to clone it. To avoid cards being scanned like this, You can use an RFID blocking wallet, backpack, purse, or card holder depending on your situation. I have an RFID blocking badge holder and wallet from a company called Identity Stronghold, and I was particularly impressed that the badge holder was able to block the RFID signal enough to not be read by a scanner without me pulling out my card. This was in spite of the badge holder seemingly being open-faced from my viewpoint. The company isn't affiliated with me as of the time of recording, but I have a couple of the company's products. Similarly, if your passport has something like an RFID chip, which passports for people from the USA may have, it could be a good idea to have your passport put in some RFID blocking thing too. When I travel, I like to have a backpack with an RFID blocking pouch that I can put my passport in. The backpack brand is Travel Pro, which as of the time of recording is not affiliated with me. If you're worried about people peering over your shoulder to get information from your smartphone or laptop, you can get something called a screen protector. I've used a screen protector from 3M for this concern. However, in my experience, looking at the smartphone with this kind of screen protector on can be a bit weird in my viewpoint, since if I tilt the phone some direction, then the privacy feature making it harder to see the screen contents becomes increasingly visual. The visual quality of my iPhone I felt went down a bit in my opinion. For example, the colors were less vibrant and I felt like the touch sensitivity went slightly down from where I liked it when I had the screen protector on. I think it's important to balance user experience with good information security practices, so it's up to you if you want to try one of these and if the trade-offs are worth it. If you're someone who uses public transportation more often, having a privacy screen may be more worth it, for example. Also, my obligatory note is that as of recording, I'm not affiliated with 3M. Even though I don't personally use a screen protector anymore for this use case as of the time of recording, I felt it would have been negligent not to mention it in case you want something like this. It's possible for a surge of electricity to hurt some electronics, so I recommend getting some kind of surge protector or something with surge protection so that you may be less likely to lose things that you're working on. Also, if the power goes out, you'd want some kind of battery backup to at least keep your electronics on long enough to where you can save your things. The kind of battery backup you can look up for this is called an uninterruptible power supply. You can plug your computer's power into the uninterruptible power supply, which could plug into an outlet in your wall. I recommend finding an uninterruptible power supply with surge protection so that you can have both of these benefits in one package. When you are out and using your credit card, be aware of something called a card skimmer. Some criminals can put some kind of plastic or possibly metal and it looks like the regular card scanner sometimes, but it's not. What I do sometimes at gas stations is wiggle the card reader a bit to check if it's loose. I don't pull hard since I don't want to cause damage, and please don't cause damage, but I like to check. If it's loose, there may be a card skimmer that was placed over the real card reader by a criminal. A piece of advice I've seen before to potentially lessen your chance of getting a gas pump with a card skimmer is to go to a pump facing where the camera or gas station entrance would be basically. The thought process is that criminals may rather want to put card skimmers on gas station pumps further away from the cameras or the line of sight of an employee. Card skimmers can exist outside of gas station pumps, but that's just an example. The last bit of advice in this varied list of physical information security tips is that if you see a USB stick out in the wild or dropped somewhere near where you work, I don't suggest picking it up and sticking it in your computer. This is how viruses could be introduced onto your computer. These are important things to keep in mind for your life and for work. You may be traveling and have to use a company credit card. You may have a company ID you don't want cloned, and more. Feel free to share some of these tips with people you know. Along with some of the multi-factor authentication tips that exist in another video, this video about updates, in my opinion, is one of the most important ones of the course. Seriously. So many bad hacks hinge on a part of the technology not being updated to the latest stable version, which could have the latest security updates. There's a search engine that exists where you can look up bad hacks that exist for systems. And so much of my hacking practice has been about doing bad hacks into outdated systems. So much money has been lost by companies and some brought down because a hacker was able to get into an outdated system. Please take your updates seriously. We'll go over some different things you should consider updating after we go over something called ransomware, which you could get if you don't update your systems. If you're at work, you may need extra permission to update your work devices, but in my opinion, it's good to advocate for updates, and if your company pushes out an update, to be proactive about installing that approved update. A kind of computer virus, a form of a bad computer program you or the organization you work for may get if you don't update your systems is called ransomware. Ransomware can be put into your devices by hackers who could have gotten into your devices if someone didn't update the devices. Ransomware basically locks your devices, and then bad hackers can demand payment in return for a key to unlock your devices that may or may not work. So then you could have no usable files and a lot less money. If you update your devices, then you can help reduce the risk of you becoming the victim of ransomware, since security patches can come with some updates. Your computer has software including your operating system such as Windows, Pop! OS, or Mac OS, internet browsers, or more. It's important to keep these updated. It would take a while to list all of the ways to update software, but I recommend looking up how to update software you use. A search term for this could be something like how to update Windows or how to update the Firefox browser or something like that. Here's some full disclosure. I wrote this script for this video while I have a non-security related update available for my operating system. So I understand if you want to take some minutes to do an update and can't fully judge. However, I recommend doing updates sooner rather than later, and if this was an update with a security patch in it, I'd be updating my system sooner than before I finish this video script. Drivers are basically things that help keep the things inside of your computer running well. Windows and Mac OS updates can come with driver updates, but for Windows updates, it may be necessary to go to the website of the company of the device you are using and download the driver from there. For example, if you have a Dell computer, you may have to go to Dell's website to install drivers from there, depending on how the updating situation is going between Windows and Dell. Some people may be able to get away with using older technology for a while, but some older technology, depending on the age, may not have updates available for it anymore. For example, the system may be too old to run software that has recent patches. This may be acceptable to some people who want to have devices that don't connect to the internet, but I think it's good to get newer devices from Wi-Fi routers to computers every once in a while. I'm going to guesstimate a ballpark figure of around 5 years for a good time to consider replacing older Wi-Fi routers, computers, and smartphones with newer versions. Unless you have a good reason or your company blocks unapproved updates, please consider updating your device and software on it and keeping current with updates. So many hacks rely on systems being outdated. Some software, such as some older versions of operating systems, are no longer being patched by the companies that released the software. Too many companies without updated software were hacked and either paid a lot of money or went out of business. Please make yourself less of a target by having updated systems. There are voice-activated devices called smart speakers that are more popular now than in the past, and some of these can be an information security concern. If a bad hacker gets into one of those devices with a microphone, and that device with a microphone is in a room where restricted information is being discussed, that may turn out badly for the organization. Additionally, some of the information that the device gathers could be stored in a remote location depending on the device. If a bad hacker ever got into that remote data storage system, then that could potentially cause trouble. There was a report of a company that employed a lot of people to manually listen to voice recordings done by that company's smart speaker. As far as I know, the stated reason was to help that smart speaker recognize human speech better, and the company took steps to increase control over privacy. However, I'm personally concerned that other companies may not want to comply with privacy concerns, and in an organization that deals with restricted information, it's important to at least keep in mind the privacy details of smart speakers. If you're dealing with restricted information, it's also important to keep any devices with speakers in mind for a similar reason of potential privacy issues. Some companies are better than others regarding privacy, so before buying a device, it could be good to research a bit more regarding what it offers regarding privacy. I look at the privacy with tech situation with this aspect in mind. If the device gets hacked, how much risk does that give me? For example, if my car radio gets hacked regarding which station is playing, that's just kind of annoying, and I presume I could turn my vehicle radio off. If I'm in a room with a smart speaker and I'm working in healthcare, and discussing personal health information with a patient, and that smart speaker is hacked so a bad hacker can listen in to the patient who may be allergic to peanuts, that presents a much greater risk in my opinion. It's important with information security to balance usability with safety. However, I want to at least introduce you to potential privacy issues regarding smart speakers and devices with speakers, especially ones that connect to the internet. Welcome to the last video of this course. If you found this useful, please tell people who you want to help keep safer online about this course. We covered topics such as scams, artificial intelligence, the importance of reporting, and more. The safer you are online, the less resources that bad hackers could have to commit crime.